Hey everybody, it's a great joy to bring this very special message to you, and God bless you, each one of you. These are very challenging times that we're living in right now, aren't they? And there's a lot of angst that's being experienced by so many people, especially around the whole theme of vaccination, around mandatory vaccination for different domains of work, what it means for church, all sorts of things like that. So I simply want to bring this message to you. Firstly, to let you know, this period of time that we're coming into right now is going to be the most challenging of the entire global pandemic. The next 4 to 6 months, as the Australian society begins to reopen, we'll see a significant spike in new cases. Primarily, that spike will be amongst those people who've chosen not to be vaccinated. Now, I've put it on record before, I have chosen to be vaccinated, as has Pastor Edie, all 4 of our children, and both of my parents. It's my understanding that at some point in our lifetime, every one of us will catch COVID-19. That's what the specialists are saying. And really, whether you experience COVID with no antibodies or whether you experience COVID because you've been vaccinated is a dramatically different experience. Currently, those who are being hospitalized in Australia, 89% of those people have not been vaccinated. I don't see this issue as primarily a spiritual issue. I've heard some people saying to be vaccinated is to receive the mark of the beast. That's referred to in Revelation chapter 13. I completely reject that idea. Read in Revelation 13 what it says there. People who are choosing to receive the mark of the beast, they're choosing to worship an image. There's a death penalty if they don't do that. Without the mark of the beast, they can't buy and sell, all sorts of things like that. Well, the vaccination is nothing like that. Whether you have chosen to be vaccinated or whether you have not chosen to be vaccinated, you can still go shopping at Coles. And you're not, so I chose to be vaccinated. I'm not bowing down to worship an image of a beast. I love Jesus and my life is surrendered to him. So I completely reject that idea. I believe what we're facing right now is primarily a medical issue, which is creating a lot of social, political, and spiritual spin-off. So there's all sorts of angst that people are facing. Some people are saying the government has no right to make vaccination mandatory for their employment because we're a free and democratic society. We are not an authoritarian state. Well, unfortunately, when we have declared a state of emergency, and the chief health officer can do that, we have a temporary authoritarian state that's created. In other words, the government can tell us what needs to happen, but it is only temporary. It has repeatedly been challenged, and even just in this past week, that idea was challenged by a couple of school teachers. It went to the Supreme Court in Sydney, and the law was upheld. So yes, the government can do what it's currently doing. Well, what's the implication for us as a church? On the weekend of the 13th and 14th of November, Crossway as a worshiping community is being called to regroup for worship. How can we do that without being civilly disobedient? Well, here's what the rules are. We are allowed, and we are declaring the 13th and 14th of November because there's a good safe buffer zone here. We will be allowed to gather in groups of 20 people outdoors for worship with no reference whatsoever to whether a person has been vaccinated or not. That is the law. So we'll be able to do it and we will not be breaking the law. So write that date in your diary, the weekend of the 13th and 14th of November. It's time to regather for worship in groups of 20 people. No reference to vaccination. We are not restricted from worshiping in that way. Now the facility, in contrast, is restricted. Here at the facility, there are much smaller numbers of people who are allowed to be at the facility. Indoors, a person must be fully vaccinated. So on that weekend, Saturday at 5 o'clock and Sunday at 10:15, the main facility here at Burwood East will be used for children's ministry. Now, children under the age of 12 do not have access to vaccination. They can't be vaccinated. But any staff member and any Team Crossway member who is here and serving on that weekend, they will be fully vaccinated. We're creating a safe environment. Now, for inside the chapel, either upstairs or downstairs, it can only be one person for every 4 square meters. And if you're on site here, you must be fully vaccinated. That is the law. Now we're going to be activating in English, we're going to be activating the lawn on the south side of the Life Care Centre, because there we'll be allowed to have 500 fully vaccinated people outdoors for worship. We're going to do that Saturday at 5 and Sunday at 10:15 initially. So please be prayerful with me that we have good weather that weekend. And of course, we're going to continue to be streaming our services online. Now this is a period of time, and you know it as I do, where there's enormous angst, and some people are starting to be quite divisive with their attitudes, and they're expressing it online. Can I please call out to you, as someone who loves Jesus, and as somebody who calls Crossway their spiritual family, let's demonstrate grace and love and patience and consideration towards one another. The unity that we have in Jesus is far greater than any opinions a person might have about being vaccinated or not being vaccinated. So please show that kind of loving grace and respect towards one another. As I said, the great challenge is right before us right now. If you wonder about government policy, it will be guided primarily by one thing, and that is the government will be watching the healthcare sector. We cannot afford to crash our healthcare sector. So as we ease restrictions, if it looks like the healthcare sector is not coping, then we will get a little tighter or hold it. But as soon as it's coping, we'll get greater levels of freedom. Ultimately, it's my conviction we're heading back to being a full and open and free democratic society where people who are vaccinated and who are not vaccinated are all worshiping together, are all working together, are all going to sport together. It's already happened in America and Britain and Europe and Scandinavia, etc. So we will head there as well, but right now we'll do a 2-speed opening. Greater freedoms initially for those who are vaccinated, then a little bit after that, those increasing freedoms for people who have chosen not to be. So God bless you. Please be prayerful. Be prayerful for your pastors. I want to honor all of your pastors, Pastor Alex, Pastor Sherman, Pastor David, Pastor Made, Pak Made. God bless these wonderful leaders. May God give us all grace as we move through this most challenging period. And I look forward to worshiping freely with you at some stage in 2022. God bless you.